Hey, how's it going, guys? Happy Saturday. Here to talk about NBA. Glad NBA is back after that short hiatus. We have the same slate that we had on Wednesday that didn't get played, so not a lot has changed. They basically, I think, only really changed the prices of some of the Houston guys, but other than that, it's basically the same slate. So give me 1 second. Let me tweet out the live stream, and then we'll get into it. But my thoughts are basically the same as they were on Wednesday. All right. So let's do it. If you guys are new to the live stream, new to the channel, how it works is I'll go over all the news that we have. Really not waiting on anything. We got all the news that we need, so won't be long there. We'll take a look at the Vegas odds. Again, there's two games that have a really good chance of blowing out. One that probably won't. And then I'll give you guys team-by-team breakdown, cash plays, GPP plays, answer any questions you guys have at the end, and then tell you guys where I'm going. So let's jump into it. Hey, what's going on, guys? So, all right, Bucks, Magic. It's a 226 over/under. Bucks are 14-point favorites. Again, I know I've said it basically every single time, but I do not understand how the Magic have kept these games close. I am once again taking the stand this game blows out. If you think it stays close, then you're going to want exposure to it. Again, we'll get to it in a bit, but Vucevic, Giannis, probably one of those cheaper Magic guys. Thunder Rockets is a 228 over/under. Rockets are 5-point favorites. We do have Westbrook back. There's no definitive right now on if he's going to be on a minutes limit. I would say they might limit him slightly, but not a whole lot. And this is obviously the game that you have to feel the most comfortable with targeting players because there's a very slim chance of this game blows out where the game above and below have a very good chance of not staying close. And then finally, Blazers-Lakers with no Damian Lillard. 223 over/under. The Lakers are 13-point favorites. So let's do it. Let's start with Orlando and Milwaukee. So yeah, it's all about, how do you think these games play out? If you think that this Orlando-Milwaukee game stays close, you're going to want exposure to it. You're probably going to want Vucevic. You're probably going to want Giannis, and then one of those cheap Magic guys. That's the way I would go if I was taking the stand that this game stays close. It stayed close in basically every single game. Again, I still don't understand how, but yeah, this game has huge upside if it does stay competitive. Vucevic at 9-2 is going to be the reason. Most likely that if they do keep competitive, he will be the reason. He's been the reason in the three of the first four games. There was 62, 50, and 63 fancy points. It's a good matchup too against Brook Lopez, who's not a good defender. So really like Vooch if you think this game stays close. I think he can definitely go for 50 plus, has upside for 60. He's hit 60 in two of the last four games. So yeah, I think Vucevic, the upside is massive on him if Orlando can stay in it. Now let's talk about the value. So we have Aaron Gordon already ruled out. We have Fournier, Fultz, Ross, Augustine, Ennis, Clark are all viable. Let's talk about the wings first. So Fournier and Ross. I prefer Fournier to Ross. Both are pretty similar. Both are kind of scoring dependent. But Fournier is the guy that's going to be, play more minutes. So I do prefer him to Ross, whereas Ross will come off the bench and is a little bit more scoring dependent. Again, both are, but I feel a little bit more comfortable with the minutes that Fournier would get as opposed to Terrence Ross. Now, that's not saying Terrence Ross is out of play. I think Fournier will be higher owned, but if you're going to make me pick between those wings, it's going to be Evan Fournier for me. The 2 point guards, Fultz and Augustine, have been going back and forth with their good games. Fultz had the good game last time, so he'll probably be more popular, which means DJ Augustine will most likely have the good game today. That's just how it's been working. But yeah, we're no longer getting discounts on these guys, like 5-1 for Fultz and 4-8 for Augustine. I think they're solid options. Like, if I'm taking a stand that Orlando keeps it close, I'm going to want to play Vucevic and then at least one of these other four guys with Fournier, Fultz, Ross, and Augustine. Yeah, I think Fultz will be slightly more popular. Augustine, maybe your GPP play off the bench, won't play as many minutes, but has had games where he's hit 35 in two of the last four. Ennis and Clark, I don't know if I'm going to get to either of them because the minutes have been down on him. Only 23 the last game for Ennis. Like, I feel more comfortable when he's playing closer to 30 minutes. Now, Sure, things could change. Foul trouble could happen. He could play more minutes here. So not out of the realm of possibilities, but it's a little bit discouraging that he only played 23 that last game. And Clark, kind of scoring dependent for a big. He literally has only, I think he's only taken threes, like as shot attempts this game. So, and he's going to be guarding Giannis too. Again, I think he's okay for value, but maybe not my favorite. And then finally, the last guy I'll mention is a really, really risky play. But if you're taking the stand that Orlando gets blown out, which is certainly viable here, then I think you're going to want some exposure to Khem Birch at 3-2. He'll play 15, maybe 20 minutes in a normal game, and he'll close if the game is a blowout. And then his upside is in those blowout minutes if it does, obviously not stay competitive. Like he'll be on the court for the final however many minutes that the starters get pulled. And he's a pretty solid point per minute guy going up against, he'll be playing with all the backups. So if you're a guy that's taking a stand, this game blows out, I think Khem Birch looks intriguing. It's a really, really risky play for sure, but he's someone I have my eye on if you're taking that stance. So let's talk about Milwaukee. Giannis at 11-3, he's been popular. Every single slate, he's been like 30 to 40% owned. So I don't know if that's going to change too much. Like I think chalk today is going to be SGA, CJ McCollum, probably one of those Portland value guys, and then probably one of the Magic value guys. So maybe Giannis doesn't get as much ownership. I mean, I still think he could get fit in with SGA and CJ. Like, I think that's going to be a very chalky build, starting lineups with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and CJ McCollum. So, yeah, this is basically the same analysis I have as Vucevic. If you're targeting Vooch, it really does make sense to play running back with Giannis. Like, this slate is panning out for game stacking. Like, it really makes sense to game stack in a slate like this because, again, blowout risk in 2 games. If this game stays close, Giannis will play about 34 or so minutes, and if he does, like, he has upside for 70. And on the other side, if Orlando does stay competitive, most likely it is going to be because of Vucevic. So I know I've repeated myself a lot with that, but it's just true. It makes sense to play Giannis and Vooch together if you're going that route. And if I am going that route, I'm probably going to want to play at least one more of those Magic value guys. Middleton's at 7-8. I'm probably going to pass on him. The minutes are just like 31, 32. They're running an 11-man rotation, even in the playoffs. He's an interesting, contrarian option. He will be low-owned, but just not someone I'm going to get to as a single entry guy. Bledsoe, 25, 26 minutes. Can he get you there in that time? Sure, but I don't know if he really stands out as an amazing play. Brolo, I'm going to pass on at 5-2, just a score-independent center. He has to hit his threes. If he's shooting his threes well, then he can definitely get you a 35+, but 5-2, you're not really getting him at a discount. George Hill's going to be available. He'll probably play 20-ish minutes. I think he's in play as a punt. I don't think I get to anyone else. Matthews, I'm not going to get to. Pat C, I'm probably not going to get to. Again, they run such a deep rotation that even if you think this game blows out, I don't think I want to take a shot at any of these really cheap guys. So they can run so many that I don't think I want to. So Milwaukee's interesting. It's kind of Giannis that stands out, obviously, and that's really it. I don't know if I'm going to go out of my way to get a lot of Milwaukee exposure. So let's talk about OKC and Houston now. OKC, or this game at least, is the game that you have to feel the most comfortable targeting players in. I think all 3 OKC guards look solid. Can you play 2 of the 3 guards? I think it's viable. I think it is because on the opposite side, Houston, you have Westbrook at about 10K, Harden over 11K. They just seem about right, and that takes a hit to the Houston value. So really, there's not a lot of standout plays. I think the OKC guards are safe. I think SGA is your cash game play at 7-4, just because of the minutes. 43 in regulation the last game, and then 43 2 games ago, and then 44 that last game. If he's going to basically play the entire game, then yeah, he looks really good. He was struggling in the bubble, no doubt about it, but this is just a minutes thing. If he was playing 35 minutes, I wouldn't have as much exposure. But 43, or have that much interest. But 43 and 44 minutes, that's 10 extra minutes. Sure, I think he is your cash game play. I think he looks really, really safe at 7-4 as long as he continues to get those minutes. Don't rule out CP3 and Schroeder, though. Like, SGA will get most of the ownership. I like Chris Paul, too. He's a triple-double upside. He'll play like 38 minutes. Won't play as many as SGA, but he'll play a good amount. And we saw the first game. The upside is there. He has 50-plus fantasy point upside. It's a revenge game, too. Like, I have interest in all three OKC guards. And finally, Schroeder. He's probably the riskiest of the bunch just because of the minutes. He'll play about 32 off the bench. He still is a guy that has upside, though. Like, I like Schroeder for GPPs. Of all the guys in, like, the mid-range, like 5 to 6K, I think Schroeder's the guy that has the most upside. So, again, I'm pretty high on the OKC guards. I think all three look really, really good for their prices. Gallinari at 6'3 is an interesting contrarian play. The minutes have been a little bit up and down. I think we probably get close to like low to mid 30s minutes. So I'd guess like 33 like we saw in the first two games. The ownership will drop in him after that dud game last time out. I still think he's viable, but more of a riskier play. Like, I would feel more comfortable personally getting to Schroeder. I think Schroeder's upside is a little bit higher than Gallinari. And then finally, Steven Adams at 5'5". I think he actually makes for a good cash game play. He'll play somewhere between 25 to 30 minutes. It's a mismatch when he's out there. So, yeah, I think at 5'5", he's a safe play. I don't think he's going to kill your lineup. I think he has a floor of about 20 to 25 with upside of probably 35 to 40. So Adams looks good, in my opinion, as a safe play in the mid-range, a cash game play. My worry was, at the beginning of the series, was, are they going to limit his minutes to match a small ball? Not really. He's still playing 25 to 30 minutes. So Adams, I think, is a good cash game play. Dort's a viable cheap option, too, at 4-2. The minutes are massive on him. He is not out there for his offense. He's out there for his defense. But if he stays out of foul trouble guarding either Westbrook or Harden, he'll play 35 minutes. So I think he's certainly in play. Again, he's not really out there for his offense, but this is more of just a minutes thing. If he's going to play 35 minutes, he can probably hit a 3 or 2, can probably get some rebounds, right? So I don't think he's out of play. Baisley, I don't think I get to a 3-5. Noel's the last guy I will mention. It's a super risky play. I put him in the same territory as a guy like Kem Birch. They're definitely, like, the risk is high. He has gotten 18, 13, and 15 minutes last 3 games, which is good. Only 8 the first game was a little bit worrisome, but if he plays 15 to 18 minutes off the bench, he's a guy that can go for 20 plus. So he's a solid point per minute guy, and again, it'll be a slight mismatch when he's out there. So Noel's a guy that I kind of like as a low-owned punt play, and that's it for OKC. So let's talk about Houston. Houston is tricky. I don't know if anyone really stands out now with Westbrook coming back. So let's talk about Westbrook himself at 9'9". He's expected to play. There's no real... we don't have anything definitive on whether or not he's going to be on a minutes limit. I would say my best guess is 32 to 34 minutes from him. With that being said, I think he's in play, but you're not really getting him at a discount. So I'm fine if you land on Westbrook, but I think he is just more of a contrarian play. Harden at 11-4 is tricky. I think he is, I guess, the safest spend up. Like, I don't know. He's not the spend up that has the most upside. It's Giannis or one of those Lakers guys that have the most upside. But the risk is there. I already mentioned it with both teams. Is the blowout factor is real. So Harden probably doesn't have as much upside as those two guys playing alongside Westbrook, but he probably is the safest because I think he'll get 40 minutes or so no matter what. Like, I don't think this game blows out. So if you're shooting for safety as a spend up, it's probably Harden. If you're going for the upside, it's going to be Giannis or one of those Lakers guys. Eric Gordon's at 6'1". If he's a last piece in your lineup, I guess it's okay. But with Westbrook playing, that takes a big hit to him. I'm not super excited about him. I liked him when he was the number 2. Now he's the number 3 option on this team. I'm probably not going to get him. Covington at 5'7". The minutes have been up and down. If he gets closer to those mid-30s minutes, I think he's viable, but still not my favorite play. House is a guy I think will garner some ownership, but I think the minutes go down on him with Westbrook coming back. I think we get probably 33 or so minutes from House would be my best guess. His role is not going to change. He's still going to stand in the corner. He's got to knock down those threes. He's a decent three-point shooter. So, yeah, if you land on him, I guess it's fine. I don't think he's my favorite play, though, in the mid-range. Jeff Green, the same thing. Like, minutes maybe go down a little bit. He's been shooting the ball really well. I don't think he continues to shoot the ball that well. So, like this range of Gordon, Covington, Green, House. If you land in one of those guys, I don't think it's the worst idea, but I don't really know if one of those guys stand out with Westbrook and Harden both playing. Tucker's at 4-2. Value is interesting on the slate. Like, he'll play 35, 40 minutes. You're not going to feel great about playing PJ Tucker. Like, he has a pretty low floor, even when he plays that many minutes. Like, his floor is like 10, 15 fancy points. So, yeah, he's playable, but you're not going to feel good about it. And then I wouldn't target Rivers or Malcolm. Those guys are cross-offs for me. Finally, Portland, the Lakers. So, no Damian Lillard. This game has huge risk. In my opinion, though, I think this game has the most upside if it stays close. Because you know where the offense is coming from Portland. It's Nurkic and CJ. And if they can keep it close, LeBron and AD have absolutely enormous upside. So let's first talk about the Portland guys. Nurkic is going to go low owned. He just is at 8-6. In 27 minutes that last game, he went for almost 50 fancy points. So the upside is there. He is a little bit more up and down. CJ's going to garner all of the ownership. So if you want to get different and you want Portland exposure, I don't hate the idea of going to Nurkic. Now, can you play both CJ and Nurkic? You can. It's risky, but I think I would do it if I'm going full game stack. So if I was going to play both CJ and Nurkic, then I would for sure run it back with one of AD or LeBron, and I would go full game stack of this game. Yeah, Nurkic is probably the guy that goes lower owned. Like, CJ is going to be chalky. He's going to be, no matter what, he'll be chalk. The risk is there, obviously, the blowout, but he'll play 40 minutes in a close game. The upside is 50+, definitely, with no Damian Lillard. The offense is going to run through CJ. It's going to run through Nurkic. So, like both those guys, the risk is there. I think CJ will be chalk no matter what. Again, him, SGA, in my opinion, are going to be the two highest owned guys on the slate. Melo's at 5'9". I think he's solid. I don't know if his role changes a whole lot. He'll probably have to do a little bit more offensively. 6K, like, I think he looks good. Like, I would probably rather get to Melo than those Houston guys that I just mentioned. I like the upside a little bit more on him because he's going to have to do more. Whereas those Houston guys, they're going to rely on Westbrook. They're going to rely on Harden. Melo's going to have to step up a little bit here. So I probably give the edge to him over those Houston guys in the mid-range. Whiteside, I don't know what their starting lineup's going to be. So the big question mark is, again, what are they going to do? I don't think this lineup works of starting Whiteside and Nurkic together. Like, I don't think they can win this game if they do that. So it's going to be a wait-and-see approach. If he does start, he would become more viable, but we saw it the last game. He did not start the second half. So the risk is there. And then finally, Trent Jr. and Simons. I think these guys will be pretty popular. I'm not like over the moon about playing either because they're both scoring dependent guys. The good thing is, though, just the minutes. Like, the minutes will be there on Trent. They will be there on Simons, assuming they both start. Now, they could do, again, I kind of have to wait to see a starting lineup here. But if Trent starts, we're going to get 35+ minutes as long as the game stays close. His role's not going to change a whole lot. He's still got to knock down those threes. So I'm fine with it if you think Portland can stay in it. Simons is a guy that will play no matter what. He'll play if the game stays close. He'll play if it blows out. So I think he, I guess, is a little bit safer as a value option, but he's so scoring dependent too. Like, his floor is so low. The way he can get you there is if the game blows out. Like, he has that upside. Like, him and Hazonia are the guys that I would look to if you think Portland does not stay close or Portland does not stay in it. Then, yeah, finally, Hazonia. I think he does get more minutes. How many more is the question. So I'm interested to see. The starting lineup changes everything for me. If the starting lineup is Nurkic, CJ, Melo, Whiteside, and Trent Jr., then I'm worried about Simons. Like, I don't know how many minutes he plays. Then I'm worried about Hazonia. But if they move the starting line, if the starting lineup is Simons, CJ, Trent, Melo, and Nurkic, which I think it should be, I think that's their best chance to win. Then Simons looks better as a player in the starting lineup, and then I probably wouldn't get to Whiteside. So, and then finally, again, Hazonia is a risk no matter what. The minutes are still, like, I don't know how many minutes he can play. He could play 10 minutes. He could play 25+. I don't know what they're going to do. I think there's even an outside chance that he could pick up a start. I think that's a very slim chance, but it's not out of the realm of possibilities. Like, Portland doesn't have a whole lot of options here. So, yeah, Portland is definitely the key to the slate, in my opinion, getting the value right. And then finally, the Lakers. So The reason why I think this game has the most upside is LeBron James and Anthony Davis. You saw what they did the last game. This is the best matchup. Like, on the slate, the Lakers are the best matchup. Portland is so bad defensively. In 28 minutes, LeBron went for 60 fantasy points last game. AD did not play this second half. In one half of basketball, in 18 minutes, he went for 40 fantasy points. So, yeah, you see why I think this game has the most upside. If it's competitive and we get close to 40 minutes from AD and LeBron, I think the upside is close to 80 for either of those guys. They could push for 80. So love both of them. The risk is huge, though. I don't know if that many people get to either of the Lakers studs. Like, in my opinion, the chalk, again, is going to be SGA. It's going to be CJ McCollum. So you can't play all the studs. Giannis has garnered ownership in every single slate. I think he'll get 30 to 40%. So that kind of leaves these Lakers guys maybe a little bit lower owned. Kuzma's a guy I'll avoid at 5'3". Just not playing enough minutes for me to get to him. Green and KCP are not guys I like playing. Don't get me wrong. They're scoring dependent, but if this is a competitive game, they'll get 30 or so minutes. And it's, again, a really good matchup. So I'm fine with both of those guys. Know the risk, right? The floor is low on both Green and KCP. But if they get close to 30 minutes, I think they could get you there. Dwight Howard's a guy that I would consider. Either way, the minutes have been solid on him in games where they've been competitive. And in the games that they've blown out, like, he gets the blowout run. So I think he's a pretty decent value option no matter what. But if I was taking the stand that this game blows out, I'm going to want Dwight Howard because he will play in the garbage time. He'll close the game. So if you're taking a stand that this game is not stay close, I think you're going to want interest in Dwight Howard as value play, and then probably one of Simons or Hezonja who will close it out on the other side for Portland. McGee's at 3-6. He won't close unless Dwight Howard fouls out. So he'll play 13 to 14 minutes no matter what. He's been a good point per minute guy, but I think he's a little bit riskier, whereas Dwight has the upside to get 20 plus minutes. If you know, McGee could, but you would have to get Dwight huge foul trouble for him to get those minutes. Last guy I'll mention is Caruso. Rondo's doubtful. Don't expect him to go. So Caruso's at 3-4. I actually think he's in play. I think he gets about 20 to 25 minutes. He won't play in the blowout. If the game turns into a massive blowout, he will not play. But if it stays competitive, I think 25-ish minutes from him. I think he's fine at almost min price. He probably gets you somewhere between 10 to 25 fantasy points. Obviously, 10's not going to do it, but the higher end is 25 at a close to min price. That would be fine. So he's in play. Again, don't feel amazing about it, but I think he's viable. So that's it, guys, for my breakdown. There's so many different ways you can go. There's no core for me. It's just about, again, how do you think the game stays close? Or how do you think the slate pans out? If you're taking a stand that Orlando, Milwaukee stay close, then I'm going to want Vucevic, I'm going to want Giannis Antetokounmpo, and I'm going to want one more of those Magic guys. Personally, for me, it will probably be Fournier or one of the guards. So let's just throw Fournier in there. That's the build that I would go if I think this game stays close. If I think this game blows out, which definitely is possible, then I think you're going to want interest in a guy like Khem Birch at 3-2. So that's how I would play it. Milwaukee, either way, if the game blows out, I don't think I want any exposure to them, but certainly a really, really risky play there, but that's the way I would go about it. Houston and OKC, I think this is the safest game to target. On the OKC side, I like all three guards. SGA, Schroeder, and Chris Paul all look good. So I think you're going to probably want one of those guys. SGA would be the cash game play, but CP3, Schroeder, definitely viable. I think you can play two. The way that two of those guys get you there is the first game blows out and the last game blows out. If that happens, then the winning lineup is probably going to have two OKC guards. So on the Houston side, again, it's tricky because no one really stands out. But if you're taking the stand that both games blow out, then you're going to want a game stack here. So you're probably going to want two of those OKC guards and then one of Harden and Westbrook. That's how I would attack it if I think both games blow out. Finally, Portland, Lakers. So if you think this game stays close, then you're going to want one of CJ or Nurkic. I think CJ will be more popular, so we'll throw CJ in there. I think you're going to want one of the Lakers stars, whether it be LeBron or AD. I'll just throw AD in there for now. Again, that's almost a coin flip. And then I think you want one of the value guys for Portland. Whether it be Simons, whether it be Gary Trent Jr., Trent Jr. is probably a little bit safer, or Melo. I think Melo is probably the safest of the three, so let's just throw Melo in there. Like, that's a bill that I would go if I think this game stays close. If I think this game blows out, then you're going to want Dwight Howard, in my opinion, who is at 3.8. You're going to want one of Simons or Trent or Hazonia. Simons is probably safer because he'll play more minutes in the regular game. If the game blows out, he'll close. So if you think the game blows out, I think these are the two value guys I would look to. Again, it's all about how do you think these games plan out. So that's my breakdown. Again, no core. It's just what do you think happens with these games. So let's do it. Caruso or Noel in GPPs. Noel's riskier, just because I still think there's a chance he only plays like 10 minutes if OKC goes small. Like we saw in the first game, Noel only played 8. So Noel's a lot riskier. I think he does maybe have a little bit, I don't know. I'll go Caruso, just because of the minutes right now. I see a floor of 40 minutes for SGA if no foul trouble. I agree. Currently, guys, we're at over 200 viewers. If you guys enjoy all the content, would appreciate if you hit that like button. Really helps me out to continue to grow the channel. Also, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. What route are you taking? I'm stacking the last game. I think Orlando, Milwaukee, I think that game blows out. So that's the way I'm going, and I'm going with the stack in the late game. So that's how I'm attacking the slate. SGA, Waiters. Don't play Waiters. He won't play. Do not play Waiters. So Schroeder and Simons for me. I got Augustine, Ross, Birch, and Wundo, Adams, Paul, Nurk, and James. That's too many Magic guys. And you have two guys. You're playing it weird, right? You have Augustine and Ross who won't play in the blowout. You have Birch and Wundo who will play in the blowout. So that lineup doesn't really make sense to me. With Lillard, CJ can get 45 to 50 in 3/4. Yeah, I guess that's true, but. CJ will be chalk. Like the chalk is going to be, in my opinion, I think it's SGA and it's going to be CJ McCollum. So if you want to get different, you can go different ways. But that is going to be the chalk build to start. Those two guys. Those two guys probably paired with either Giannis or one of the Lakers stars is I think how people are going to attack the slate. Simons or Ennis. It's so tough. I need to see a Portland starting lineup. If Simons doesn't start, I'm not that interested in him. Like, he would become a lot riskier. I need him to start. So, kind of depends. Melo or Bledsoe? Probably Melo. It pains me to say that, but I think it is Melo. Dang, I feel like Nurk could go for 70. Yeah. I mean, I'm playing Yusuf Nurkic. I told you guys what I'm doing. I could be wrong, but it's a huge risk. I'm stacking the late game, hoping Portland keeps it close. LeBron or AD, it's flip a coin. I think LeBron is a little bit safer, I guess, just because AD is kind of dinged up a bit. So if you're going for safety, LeBron, obviously both have the same upside, so up to you. I'm personally playing Anthony Davis if you want where I'm going. That's the way I'm doing. Core 4, can't do a core in this slate. There's just depends on how you go about how you're attacking it. Cash games, you're going to want to target the middle game. GPPs, all games, obviously. Clark or Dort in GPPs. I'll go Dort. That actually, I want to throw up saying Dort over Clark, but I think it is. I think it is Dort. Yeah, I don't feel good about that. Do you like CP3, Shea, Dort, Giannis, Dwight, Schroeder, Clark, and Simons? So you're playing all 3 OKC guards? I think that's risky, but doable. So I don't think that's a cash build. I wouldn't play all 3 OKC guards in cash. Would it be crazy to play all 3 OKC guards? No, I think you can play all 3, but it's more of a GPP play. Because you need the blow. If you're playing all 3 OKC guards, you need the blowout in both the first and the last game for that to work. It's not out of the realm of possibilities, but you need the blowout. If either of those games stays close, that lineup's not going to work. I assume CJ goes point guard and Trent Jr. goes shooting guard. Yeah, they could do that, but I don't think starting Whiteside gives them their best chance to win. That's just my thought. Clark or Dort? Yeah, I think it's Dort, even though it's really gross for me to say that. Harden, AD, Simons, Adams, SGA, Hill, Birch, and Danny Green. Yeah, so you're taking the stands, kind of like me, that the game blows out. The first game, at least. Again, guys, if Orlando keeps it close, you're going to want Vooch, you're going to want Giannis, and one of those cheap Magic guys. I'm playing 5 OKC players and 3 Blazers. It's a bold strategy, Cotton, I'll tell you that. Nurkic, SGA, and AD. Yeah, I mean, I like that. I got Augustine, Augustine, McCollum, Ross, Giannis, Vooch, Simons, Dort, and Caruso. No issue at all. Again, you're thinking the game stays close. The first game, if it does, I like that build. Giannis, Vooch will probably both crush, and then you have Ross in there too. So I like that. Nurkic, SGA, and AD. Let's see. I feel like even a Portland game blows out, the starters will play as long as possible. I don't think it depends on what is the blowout, right? If it's a 20-point game, the starters probably come back in the fourth. If it's like a 30-point game like it was the last game, then they won't. So it kind of depends. I hate seeing Whiteside and Nurkic in the court together too. Yeah, I don't think it works. Like, I think they will switch their starting lineup. I think their best shot to win is Simons, CJ McCollum, Gary Trent Jr., Melo, and Nurkic. I don't think starting Whiteside and Nurkic together is going to give them the win. Giannis over 50%, I get it. Is he over 50%? Giannis 40. Yeah, so again, he was 30 to 40% in the last slate. So let's see what he's in the $100 tournament that I'm in. I think it'll be somewhat high. So Pat Connaughton picked up 8%. Not excited about that. Gary Clark 28%. Vucevic 33%. And Giannis Antetokounmpo is 60% owned. 60%. So you see where people are going. They are targeting that first game, thinking it stays close. And SGA is going to be high owned. So the way that people are going about it is, in my opinion, these two plus Giannis. That's the way that people started their lineups for a chalky build. I have no issue with that. But if the Bucks blow them out, I have a huge edge to the field. A huge edge. Because 60% Giannis probably gets 50 fantasy points in a blowout. Like, he could go for a little bit more, but I'm really, really hoping for the blowout, obviously. But you see, that's the way that people went and attacked this slate. I guarantee you those are going to be the 3 highest spend-up guys. Harden must play or not? No. He probably, I guess, is the safest option because he'll play 40 minutes, but he has the least upside. Like, I like the upside more in Giannis. If it stays close, I like the upside more in the Lakers guys. DK jumped over my question 3 times. Sorry, dude. How does this look, DK? Let's see. Schroeder, CJ, LeBron, Melo, Adams, Simons, Trent Jr., and Tucker. Ew. Yeah, I think that's fine. So you have no exposure to the first game. If it blows out, you're in decent shape, right? You need the blowout in the first game. Bron or AD, greater than Harden. Yeah, again, I think the upside is higher on those guys, but they're a little bit riskier. Giannis is going to get 60 regardless. I don't think so. Like, if it turns into a huge blowout and they're up by 30, he's not going to come back in the fourth quarter. So I don't think it's guaranteed. LeBron going off tonight. Yeah, I mean, I like both Lakers stars. Giannis in a blowout will still outscore LeBron and AD tonight. It depends. If the Lakers game blows out, then I probably agree with that. But if not, I think the upside is just as high in LeBron or AD. The matchup is better for both those guys. So trade Harden, Adams for Schroeder, and Nurkic. Again, if you're going cash games, probably Harden and Adams is safer. Like, Nurkic is a risky play. So, see, Schroeder, SGA, Hazonia, Giannis, Vooch, Simons, Clark, and Howard. No issue with that at all. Wow, Gary Clark, 46% owned. I'm fine getting away from 46% Gary Clark. I really am. He'll play 25-ish minutes. He only shoots 3, so he has to hit a couple 3s. Sorry, you might have answered this, but CJ or Nurk or both. So I think it's CJ for cash games. He'll be more popular. I like both of them. I think you can play both if you're taking the same stance as me as the game stays close, because it's going to be CJ and Nurkic that most likely have a huge game. Giannis, 48%. Again, not super surprised. I'm really hoping for the blowout there. Giannis, 43%. Vooch, 26%. Lakers game will be the only one that blows out. I mean, I think that's what people are thinking if you look at ownership, right? With Giannis being that high owned, that's what people are taking the stance. So the late game is going to be low owned besides CJ McCollum. McCollum's going to be chalky, I think, no matter what. Everyone else in that game, CJ and probably one of the Portland value guys will be still popular. But people are going Giannis. So people think Milwaukee keeps it close, which is definitely viable, but I'm okay getting away from that ownership. Who scores more, Simons, Trent, or Hazonia? I think Gary Trent Jr. is the safest of those three guys right now. Imagine stacking LeBron and AD and Nurkic. I mean, you can do it. You can definitely do it. I have Anthony Davis, CJ McCollum, SGA, and Nurkic. I want full-on stars and scrubs. So it's viable. Schroeder, SGA, Hazonia, Giannis, Vooch, Simons, Clark, Howard. Yeah, good with me. So, yeah, again, this was a really, really tricky slate, guys, because of the first and the last game. Not a slate that I would recommend playing a lot of money on. Definitely probably a GPP-only slate. The next slate tomorrow looks better because we don't really have to worry with blowouts. I mean, hopefully not in tomorrow's slate, right, because we have Celtics-Raptors. That should be a close game. Clippers-Mavs, there is a little bit of blowout risk there with no Porzingis. It did blow out the last game. So I guess there is still that blowout risk. And then Denver, Utah should stay close, even though that game has blown out, I think, 2 games so far. So I guess we still have to deal with it a little bit in the next slate. Let's see, I'm high on Nurkic and Melo. Yeah, if you think Portland keeps it close, I like the big three there of CJ, Nurkic, and Melo. Thoughts on KCP? He'll play 25 to 30 minutes of the game, stays close. Really good matchup. I think he's viable. The floor is low, though. He has to hit his threes, so know the risk. All right, I think I'm going to get out of here, guys. Good luck. Hopefully this slate works out for you guys in whatever direction you went. Hope you guys win some money. I'll be back for another video, obviously to break down the slate for tomorrow later tonight. I'll have another NFL video, I think, up later today too, so be on the lookout for that. Thanks again, guys, and I will see you all later.